Hey, welcome back and Happy New Year's, everyone. Jeffrey Howells Carpet Cleaning here, and we are changing out spark plugs because we've been kind of working on a bit of some maintenance and doing a tune-up and everything on our equipment, changing belts, oil, and all that good stuff. So now we are rounding up and finishing off with the spark plugs, which is probably the easiest thing to change in the vehicle. You just want to make sure that you have a spark plug socket. It's just a 5/8, so if you have a 5/8, no problem. You can go down to AutoZone. You can pick one of those up. I think it was like $2 or $3. It was super cheap. So this ratchet set here I actually picked up at Harbor Freight. It was $4.99, man. I got a deal on it. I didn't even check to see if they had a 5/8 socket in there. However, you're going to need something that's a little bit bigger and deep enough to be able to grip onto those spark plugs. Now, when you're changing the spark plug, it's very simple. You just need to remove the wire or the boot and everything that's attached to the motor. I'm not really going to go into how to locate that stuff because it should be a no-brainer. And then you just stick that in there and just use the socket to pull those guys out. And one thing to note when you're changing these out, you want to make sure that gap between, it's really hard to get on the phone, between the spark plugs, I don't know what those particular parts are, but you can see that there's a gap there between the spark plug and then there's a igniter thing of some sort. I don't know what the parts are called, but that's what this tool here is that it just measures that gap between there to make sure you get it set right. My particular gap is supposed to be 0.4. It varies depending upon the type of engine you have and the types of spark plugs that you have in there. However, because I got the exact same spark plugs, they were already set to 0.4, so I guess there was no need to change anything or mess around with anything. But I was using the gauge tool here just to verify that gap was put in there properly. And then of course we're going to put some anti-seize stuff down on there on the bolt itself so it doesn't get stuck in our equipment. Look at how black these old spark plugs are. I'm surprised that they came out as easily as they did. So I'm just going to apply some to the new ones before I go put them in. And then I also have some lubricant to go in the boot protector stuff there. And that will just help to add the lubricant to make sure that our pistons and everything keep firing properly, because occasionally pistons won't, or the spark won't spark properly, and it kind of does a piston misfire, and the engine continues to run fine, but it just runs a bit rough. So this just helps to keep things running, smoother, longer period of time. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to lube these spark plugs up here, and then I'll just take them out to the truck and then pop them back into our motor, and then use our sockets and everything just to make sure that everything is nice and snug and put back down into place. But really, that's all that's involved with it. It's, like I said, it's very simple. It's a quick fix, and it'll keep your equipment running like new. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is locate your spark plug boot cover, and the wire and everything right here on this particular machine is sitting right here. And so we're going to pop that off, and then we are going to go ahead and use a spark plug socket here to remove that spark plug. And then of course we're going to go ahead and lubricate both the boot end and the inside, so that everything is well lubricated and working optimally when we put in our new spark plugs. Alright, so there's our new spark plug, and I went ahead and I have already lubed it all up and got it back in there. Got it pretty snug but not super tight. And then we're going to go ahead and slip that boot cover back on. It's right here. And that should take care of it, and we should be good for another year. All right, so I wanted to end by saying that the spark plugs, I didn't have the water and everything all plugged in, so I just wanted to fire it up to make sure it was starting well and running and see how it sounded. And it's night and day difference on the difference that it made just flipping up the spark plugs there. So if your machine is running a little rough, sounds like it's misfiring, or what have you, go ahead and change those spark plugs out, and you'll probably notice a huge difference. Just make sure you lube everything up, put them back in there, and you should notice a night and day difference. Okay, get the machine is purring like a kitten, man. All I did was change up the spark plugs the other day. It stopped the smoke coming out. Hard to say whether some of the exhaust may have been due to a little bit of spilled oil while changing the oil, and fairly common. But it is running really good. It doesn't sound like the motor is misfiring at all. It got to a point where it did sound like it was kind of the pistons were starting to misfire a little bit here and there. And obviously the first thing I noticed was a bunch more suction, water heating up faster.